There's a heart-wrenching story that unfolds in the quiet moments of abandonment. A story about a dog named Pepe, who went from losing everything to finding her way back to love. It's a story of betrayal, heartbreak, and ultimately, healing. A reminder that even the darkest chapters can lead to brighter days. Pepe had once lived in a home with someone she trusted deeply. To her, her owner was family. But one day, everything changed. Her owner took her to a deserted area, far from the safety and warmth she knew, and tied her to a fence. With no explanation and no goodbye, they walked away, leaving Pepe behind. At first, Pepe didn't understand. She sat by the fence hoping that her owner would return, that everything was just a mistake. Days turned into nights, and despite the cold and hunger, Pepe refused to move. She waited and waited, believing that the one person she had ever known to care for her would come back, but they never did. As time passed, Pepe's heart grew heavy with confusion and sorrow. How could they leave her? What had she done wrong? While she sat there in the cold, people passing by began to take notice of her sad, lonely eyes. Concerned, they reached out to a dog rescuer for help. When the rescuer arrived, she found Pepe cowering by the fence, too scared to trust anyone. The pup was clearly broken, emotionally and physically. With every step the rescuer took toward her, Pepe would back away, her fear of being hurt again overwhelming any hope for kindness. The rescuer understood that she would need to earn Pepe's trust, but time was something they didn't have. The snow began to fall heavily as the rescuer made the decision to stay with Pepe through the night. In that moment, she knew she couldn't leave her alone. The cold night dragged on, and the next morning, Pepe's eyes were even more distant, as though she had given up on ever being loved again. But the rescuer wasn't giving up. Gently, she spoke to Pepe, coaxing her to trust, to come with her. Exhausted, heartbroken, and no longer able to wait for her owner to return, Pepe finally agreed. She followed her rescuer, the weight of her past life heavy on her tiny shoulders. The ride was quiet. Pepe's sad whimpers were all that filled the space as she lay next to the woman who had saved her. She couldn't imagine how her life was about to change. Once they arrived at the rescuer's home, a warm bath and soft blankets welcomed Pepe. For the first time in what felt like forever, she was given a chance to feel safe again. That night, for the first time in weeks, Pepe slept peacefully, curled up in her rescuer's bed. The next morning brought a new beginning. A walk in the park, a little more trust. Pepe was still shy, but with each passing moment, she slowly allowed herself to believe in the possibility of kindness. And then one day, the sweet sound of Pepe's howling echoed through the house, loud and full of emotion. Her rescuer smiled. This wasn't just a sound of distress. It was a sign of something more, a sign that Pepe was beginning to heal. As the days went on, Pepe's transformation was nothing short of miraculous. She began to explore her new home with curiosity. Her eyes sparkled with hope, and she even started playing. It was clear now. Pepe was beginning to let go of her painful past. 12 days after her rescue, Pepe was no longer the timid, heartbroken dog left to die in the snow. She was a new dog, vibrant, joyful, and full of life. Eventually, she moved to a loving foster home where she was showered with love and care. The past was behind her, and she embraced her new life with all the energy and joy she had once reserved for waiting. She rolled on the ground, basking in the simple pleasure of feeling safe, of being loved. From the cold, desolate place where she had once waited for a person who would never return, Pepe had blossomed into a beautiful, happy dog. Although we may never know where Pepe's story goes from here, we can be sure of one thing. Wherever she is loved. She's no longer the abandoned pup in the snow. She's a beloved companion, living a life filled with the love and happiness she deserves. Pepe's story is a reminder that no matter how broken you may feel, healing is possible. And sometimes, all it takes is one kind soul to show you that love never truly abandons you.